Good day, everyone, and welcome to our session today to celebrate International Day for HR 2025. We have on our set today one of Abuja's finest consultants. She's an HR consultant in the person of Toyinri Bianiko. So she would be dishing out some hot takes today, with respect to HR, and it's going to be aligned with our theme, Humanify AI, leading HR together, leading in a new way, leading in a digital world. So before we start getting your hot takes, yes, we'll start lights. Yeah. So can you tell us a story of how you got into HR? Was it planned? Was it accidental? Was it something you've always wanted to do, or you just sort of found yourself there?
So I'm going to say that my becoming a HR professional was definitely accidental. I tell people I studied one of those weird courses that the Nigerian universities offer. The Englishes, the physics, the microbiologies, the courses that you necessarily don't know what to do with.
Yes.
Right? So, but back in the day, that was about 10 years ago, HR was under HR and English, right? So I joined that organization as a front desk person, ironically, and it was HR and English, so I started to be in charge from the front desk. Yeah, that's how I found myself. So I got in there, found out I was really good at it, and I continued to build myself in this product.
All right. So you got in there, and then you found out that you had a flair for it, and then you decided to pursue. Right. So if you weren't in HR, what profession do you think you would?
I think I would have been a presenter because I used to love to talk. I used to love to talk, so I would have been a radio presenter or I would have had a blog or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then you'll be talking, hi guys.
Yeah.
Welcome to my channel.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I think it's really, really cool. I think it's cool. So what's a common misconception people have about HR professionals?
Well, I would say there are lots of misconceptions, but the major one that makes HR people one of the most disliked roles is that idea that HR should be HR of the people, or people say, oh, she's HR of the management. HR is meant to be HR of the business. You're meant to come up with recommendations, policies, work on employee engagement activities, just do everything to ensure that with the help of the team, with the input of the team, the business succeeds. Right? So if the management is doing something that shouldn't be, HR should be able to say, I don't think you should do this. I think you should keep your word. I think we should implement this policy. I think we should introduce this compensation. Right? And if you're a team member, no matter how awesome you are and you're falling out of track, HR should be able to correct you, should be able to get you in line. And if you're unwilling to fall in line, HR should be able to recommend that you let go. And the team shouldn't look at it and say, oh, you're for the management, or for the management part. Management to say you're for the people. It should be that you are for the business. So that's my major misconception for HR.
Okay, still dwelling on this HR for the management and HR, I'm very interested in it, because it's something that I feel like every workspace kind of experience.
Yes.
So the HR, that means the HR, from what you said, should be like a balance.
Yes.
Like a bridge between the staff and then the management, not necessarily taking any side.
Yes.
Like that. But do you think this thing you said has happened in the past, like in some organizations where the HR is, like on side of the management?
Yes.
Or is taking side with them, what I just wanted to I like the fact that you went and hit that button. I think we should dwell on that a little bit.
Well, I'll say one thing people forget to understand, or one thing people forget is that HR people are human beings too.
First,
and sometimes it's not out of place for you to see us swinging in one direction because of what people are saying. Like, you want people to like you, and then I've worked in places where the team felt I was for management and management felt I was for the team, right? So it happens sometimes, and if I wasn't sure about my purpose in that organization, naturally I would have picked a side, right? And most likely I probably would have picked for people because I like people and I like to be liked. I'm sorry, right? But I had to be grounded. So yeah, it happens sometimes, right? And then sometimes it's really a survival thing. We see companies where HR is a weapon for the management, where HR is used to do the management's dirty work, and because you have to keep your job, you just do it. So yeah, people actually take sides and forget the big picture.
Thank you for shedding Yeah, like I've always, I won't say I've always said that HR is for the people or for the management, right? But sometimes, like you said,
Yeah.
it always seems like the management is trying to use HR against us, or the HR, like if the HR is not maybe doing what the management wants to, now look as if it's the HR of the people kind of thing, instead of just being the balance of the bridge between the management and then the people. So, is it true that connection matters more than competence in getting a job? Like, what's your take on that? Some people feel like, to work in maybe NNPC or Shell or some top, you have to know somebody that knows somebody. The people don't feel like, okay, once I'm good at what I do and I have these skills, that I'll be able to, have a chance to actually, what do you think about that?
So generally, I'm going to say that for some of these international organizations, on paper, they project themselves or communicate that they are they are not like they don't have biases or they are as objective as possible. So I'm going to choose to work by what they say on paper, right? That if you want to go into such organizations, it's going to be merit-based. However, I remember when I was a younger professional, there were places I wanted to work, and because I didn't have good grades, I couldn't get in there. However, I'm not going to lie, I've had some awesome opportunities, like high-paying opportunities that I could only access because of my network. Any day, anytime, right? Network is going to trump competence to get your foot in the door.
To get to the door.
To get your foot in the door, right? Because not every opportunity makes it to the internet.
Yes.
However, when you get your foot in the door, it is your competence and your emotional intelligence that will keep you there. Your character.
Yeah.
Right.
Character, yes.
And what funny thing about referrals is if someone refers you, that means they've put their name on the line for you.
Exactly.
So if you go in there and you mess up, best believe they will most likely not refer you again.
Yes.
So network is good to get your foot in the door, but your emotional intelligence, your competence, your relationship management, your behavior, character is what's going to keep you. And if you continue to mess up in the long term, your network will not continue to bail you out. Like you can actually run out of that if you don't have the right character and competence.
You spoke about character, you spoke about competence. So, your network can get you to the door, but having the skills, being competent enough to show that okay, I belong here and I have value to offer, kind of keeps you in the role. And you mentioned that character.
Yes.
Character. I want to just dwell on that character because I feel like there are people that feel that once I'm good, I'm good. I don't they don't have good manners, you don't know how to communicate clearly to people to understand, you don't collaborate with teams because you just feel okay, I am good at what I do and I don't need people. So just wanted to just speak in terms of character.
Yeah.
Speak to character.
So for character, there are lots of things. Of course, character is not just what you do. People make mistakes.
Exactly.
You can be awesome, sometimes you have bad days. So we're not talking of those off days. We're talking about when you habitually are a certain way and there are certain things that make you certain things that make you that solid team member that implies that you have the right character. You communicate well, you're a supportive team member, you understand teamwork, you're not always trying to do just me and throw people under the bus. And beyond even communicating well, I've met people who were leaders, who were liars. Like you're not an honest person. You say one thing, you do another thing. You make a decision, things go bad. You just throw people under the bus and leave them high and dry. No form of ownership. Things like that habitually. Get to a point where, or you're maybe even insubordination. It's not just leadership. A lot of times when it comes to character, we like to look at leaders and think, you did this. What of you? The team member, if you don't follow instructions, you come to work late. You even have hybrid. You don't honor appointments. You just take things for granted. Have poor corporate etiquettes and all of that. So these are some things like if you do habitually can lead to you not around character.
I like your take on that. I like the way you delve a lot on character. And speaking of which, just to throw this question to you, what exactly are executives really looking for? When it comes to promoting someone internally, what do you think is that? Let's say it's a skill now, right? But what is that aha that they're looking for to say, okay, this person is ready, for a leadership position, or this person is ready to move, to the next level? What do you think they're looking for?
So I think that when it comes to promotions, every organization has that thing that matters to them. But I would say consistently, typically, mostly in the private sector where we are profit driven, a lot of organizations look for people who deliver results. Right? Every company has what value means to them. And if we're a private organization, we're trying to make profits.
Exactly.
So provided you are doing things that will make sure that we keep our clients, you're saving us money, you're bringing in money, you're delivering quality results, chances are you're going to be promoted. And I would say that the result, someone who delivers results is so important that a common mistake organizations make is that we promote people who deliver results, but we don't even check their leadership skills.
Exactly.
So they become leaders and you see that they are probably bad leaders, right? Because they were like valuable team members.
Yeah, they're good at the job, but they are terrible at leading.
Exactly. Like this is a common mistake. That's to tell you how much organizations value results, right? So if organizations want to continue, I'll just chip in to what you didn't ask.
Yeah.
We have to make a point to ensure that when we identify people who are good at their jobs, we need to find out if they even want to be leaders. Not every good team member wants to be a leader, that's the truth. And then if we're promoting them to leadership, we have to find ways to identify the leadership gaps and then find ways to support them to bridge those gaps.
I like that you mentioned that not every team member wants to be leader, because I feel like it's something that is not spoken of enough.
Yes.
There are people that are good at their job, they're good at delivering, they're good at their task, but they really are not interested in leading. They just want to do this thing, you know. And I feel like most of the times, maybe the people that they are very hands-on, they're very, you know, they're good at technically, they just have the skills that they can, you know, showcase, and then they're like, I just want to do this.
Yes.
Don't push me to
I feel like tech people are that way.
Exactly, I was going there, you know, I was going there.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, let me just do my thing, don't bring me, because in leadership, you're managing people, and managing human beings can be really difficult. You have to be empathetic, you have to know when to say some things, you have to pay attention to how they feel, you know, some things like that. So I feel like we should talk about this more.
Yes.
People, we need to know if, okay, this person is really good at this thing. Does this person want to move or step into that leadership role, or are we pushing the person?
Yes.
You know? But now, just to throw that question back to you, do you think if the person comes out and say, I don't want to, or I don't want to, what do you think management will do in that kind of situation?
So there was this place I worked at, and there was an opportunity that came up, and it was offered to a lady some years back, and she didn't want it. I kid you not, everything in the for her time in the company went downhill from there. There was that judgment of, oh, you're not, this person is not outgoing, oh, she's laid back, you know. So honestly, I feel like that's a different conversation. But I noticed that when lots of people are like, I don't want to step into this capacity, you're seen as being laid back. You're seen as you're not daring. You're seen, you know, instead of them to support you through it, or even understand why you don't feel ready.
They feel like you're not going to get
it.
You
Yes. And it's possible that the person is just not ready for it at that time. It doesn't mean the person will always not be ready. You know, but there's judgment around that.
Thank you for throwing light on that. I'm sure our viewers will be happy to hear that. For those of you that don't want to step into leadership positions, don't be afraid to let the organization know. I mean,
but I would recommend you push to try. Yes. Like initially, when I was a younger professional for many years, I did not want to be a leader.
Okay.
And the reason why I didn't want to be a leader was it just seemed like HR people, men, used to collect baskets for everything. Like everything was HR's fault. You know, and I saw it happen at the top, and I didn't want to be the one to go to the CEO's office and come back with heartbreak. You know, so that was it for me. So find out the reason why you think you're not ready for leadership, and see if you can work on it. Find out why. There's a reason why, and work on it.
Thank you for that insightful piece. So how do HR leaders influence the strategic direction of the company? You know, just like you said, most times when things go wrong, they say it's HR's fault. You know? So I feel like human resources kind of play a key role in the strategic direction of the company. So how do you think HR plays that role?
Well, I feel like when it comes to the strategic direction of the company, of course, it starts from the top.
Exactly.
Right, where you have the goals. People forget HR people are employees too.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
Thank you for saying that.
People say, oh, how can your HR be here and they fire that person?
what was
You
HR
get.
to do?
So the strategic direction, of course, at the top. Oh, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to achieve. And at the end of the day, all your plans, you need people to bring it to life. Even if you're going to use technology, there's still a place of people. So when you're making those plans, HR is meant to be part of that conversation. And when you're part of that conversation, you now discuss the gaps. Oh, this is what we need to do. We don't have this staff. Internally, is there someone we can train? Do we have this skill in-house? Do we need to hire somebody? Do we need to work with a consultant? For instance, security. Do we want to have our security people or we want to outsource? That's just an example. So when HR hears those plans, right, then HR can now come up with the manpower plans. And not just when it comes to hiring, but even when it comes to training, when it comes to compensation, like performance management, how do we make people understand where we're going to? How do we communicate these things? And HR works with the leadership to ensure that that planning happens, and then we're even proactive. We don't wait till it's time for us to do it that we start running helter-skelter. You know, HR has to do things ahead of time, and HR works with leadership to bring these things to life.
Okay. Thank you for that insights. You mentioned tech people, so I think we would go that line a little bit. With the influx of tech, and finance talent in Abuja, what qualities really make someone stand out? Sorry, before you start, a lot of Gen Zs now are in that space, and they have issues with most workspaces now tend to have certain issues with like Gen Zs, and them in the workspace. And I feel like 80% of the tech people are Gen Zs. Okay. That's me. I don't know if that statistic is correct, but that's just what I think, right? So, with the influx of that talent in our tech, what quality truly makes someone stand out?
I would say the major quality that would make anyone stand out will be actually being good at what you do. Okay. I've recruited for some companies, tried to fill tech roles, and I've realized that a lot of our tech talents are not as good as they think they are.
Right.
I have a friend, right, a colleague and friend, Jane. She hires for international organizations, and we found from her experience, she was sharing with me that what we call senior tech people, senior developers, senior Ds in Nigeria, when you take them to some European countries, they are mid-level. They are not senior. You see them trying to take those technical tests. And the reason why it's that way, and it's getting worse, I like that you said Gen Zs, right? Yeah. I love Gen Zs. They are very fast. Yeah. They try to do things fast. But the problem is that good things, there's a price you pay for good things.
Yes.
Like if it was just something you could do fast, a lot of us would be cashing out.
I know, right?
You get, and that's the difference between other generations. Like paying the price was a normal thing, right? I know that there were things that we did wrong, and I'm happy that Gen Zs have been calling out.
Yeah, they are speaking out.
Yes. However, you cannot still beat the system. So first of all, be really, really good at what you do, and then secondly, be good at, apart from being good at what you do, have the right attitude. You get, if you're good at what you do, but you're a bad team player, you're temperamental, you can stand up today and be like, you don't feel like doing anything, then your skill is not going to benefit you. Gone are the days when people used to think that because you're good, people will tolerate you.
Yeah, whatever thing you throw at us, just collect it and be like,
it's gradually changing. Yes, because even globally, there's a crisis in regards to jobs. It's happening in the UK, US, people are looking for work. Right, so yes, it's making us to really check for quality people, but you also have to have the right attitude. So yeah, this is it.
Speaking to attitude, speaking to character, speaking to basically character.
Yeah.
In terms of hiring, how do you balance hiring for skill and hiring for culture fit? Every company has what they're looking for in terms of this person aligned with the way we do things, our culture and all. Do you think there should be a balance, or should we prioritize one over another?
I think there should be a balance, right? However, to prioritize, I would say culture over skill. I would say again, if you have good skills, but your behavior is bad, your skill will not benefit you. That's the truth. There are people who are very chaotic when they're upset. There are people who don't follow company policies. There are people who, even in remote companies, you tell them this is what we will use. We will use this tool to document our work. They will never document anything. Now the problem with working with such people is if they do those things and get away with it, it's only a matter of time. Other people want to behave that way because why should I comply? You're not doing anything about the other guy.
Yeah, it's kind of contagious.
Exactly. But with culture, if you have an intentional good culture, right, a culture that has certain values, as far as you attract those people, right, and you see the potential for the skill, it's only a matter of time. They are going to catch up. They are going to catch up. So yeah, definitely skill and definitely culture over skill, but of course there should be a balance. Yes.
Thank you for that, insights. Me, I've always felt skill. Can you do the work? Yes. That kind of thing. In as much as I know that culture plays a key, role.
Yeah.
I've always felt like most times during the recruitment process that HR will always prioritize, the skill over the culture, and that's
Shouldn't
what
be.
always.
Yeah, because look, sorry if I may expound.
Yes,
What's
sure.
culture? Culture, what they taught us in social studies, culture is the way of life of the people.
Yes.
So if here we are very fast, we are smart, we do our things a certain way. Imagine like Amazon. Amazon has the market culture.
Yes.
You're wrapping things, you're fast, and then you go and get somebody that wants to come to the office, press phone, Yeah, exactly. There are cultures that do that. They make it conducive. They want you to come and experiment, create stuff, have awesome ideas. That's how they do their things there. That person is going to be an anomaly. The person is going to be off, right? So it's very important that that person fits in. Or else, if the person continues to get away with what is not normal, it's only a matter of time. The person will pollute others who had been culture fits.
Speaking to what you just said now, there's this notion that the finance space generally is like a fast-paced environment. Everything is usually So imagine bringing someone that is all of let me just come relax. That person won't fit, and then the person may start to feel like maybe this is not for me and all. But
exactly.
You just didn't fit into the culture of the space. It's
exactly.
Like you just didn't fit into that culture. Thank you very much for that insight. Speaking to hiring processes again, cover letters. Do you think they are still, will I say relevant? Yes, that's what I'm using. Or is it just like a formality? Like, do HR professionals still take out time to look at people's cover letters? Because I feel like that's when you kind of show off. Oh, this, and not be able to do this and that. That kind of thing. So I mean.
So I'm going to speak from a personal point.
Alright.
Honestly, I don't think cover letters are still relevant. 2 or 3 years ago, it was like 3 years ago, I did a survey on LinkedIn and I asked recruiters, business owners, how many people actually read cover letters. 50% of the responses said they do not read cover letters. In fact, 50 said they don't ask. 20-something% said they do read, and then 20-something said sometimes. So it means that possibly more than 50% of recruiters or business owners that hire do not read it. Personally, I don't read it. And when I used to actively hire, or when I was actively job hunting, I hated writing cover letters.
I agree with you.
So in consideration, because I know how it feels, I don't ask because I know I will not read it. That's just the truth. However, my recommendation is if a company asks for a cover letter, if you're a job seeker, put in your best work and write that cover letter really good. And if they don't ask, you can still try to show that you're an A person and maybe try.
This question is going to be in alignment with our theme, humanify AI, leading HR together. And we're in a stage where AI is kind of a thing that if you don't know how to use the tool, it's almost as if you are going extinct, you as a person, right? So how do you think AI can help HR professionals better carry out their tasks, still maintaining that empathy, the human side of it, and not entirely becoming a robot, that kind of thing? Yes.
So for me, what I think the role AI plays in HR management is it helps with efficiency and speed. To be honest, I was one of the people who resisted AI at first, right? But there are certain things, policies, documents you want to prepare, certain inquiries, new ideas. Leverage AI to be fast, leverage AI to be creative. However, human resource management is a human-centered job. Do you get it? It's a role that requires empathy. It's a role that requires that human interaction. It's a role that requires a unique kind of approach to everybody. like human resources. These are people we're talking
People,
about.
yes, people.
Right. So the idea of AI, when people talk of oh, AI is going to take my job, AI is not meant to take your job as a HR. It's only meant to help you to be very efficient.
Yes.
How it can take your job is if you do not use it to be creative, you don't use it to be fast, then people who have leveraged it will come and take it. It's a different person that will take your job, not AI. Yeah. A HR person that has leveraged it will take your job if you don't leverage it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that you pointed that out, because there's been this talk around, especially for designers, and some people in tech are like, oh, AI is going to replace you, or AI is going to take your job. I've always been of the opinion that people that use AI will replace you.
Yes.
Not necessarily AI itself.
Yes.
They are, carrying out the task, faster with the help of AI, and able to do things quicker than you. That will say, okay, I want to just use my head to do everything. That kind of thing. So yes, thank you for pointing that out. Before we round up, just one final question. What advice would you give to people in their 20s, the Gen Zs, in terms of job searching, how to act in the workplace in terms of character, because there's been a lot of buzz and a lot of questions around okay, Gen Zs and the way they act in the workspace. There are some companies that want to be Gen Z said they just feel like you're coming with attitude already for them, that they won't be able to handle. So what advice do you have for people in their 20s?
Okay, so for Gen Zs, first of all, let me just give a quick advice to organizations. I feel like we have to all meet each other at the middle. You have to stop doing things traditionally. You have to be a bit more fun. You have to not take things personal, right? When they do some things, right? And then sometimes use policies. I have a colleague, someone I employed, and when she resumed, she used to call me by my name. And I didn't like it, but after a while, I told her what I wanted to be called. I just said, call me Mrs. T. You get, so if you don't tell them, sometimes they don't know. Don't just take offense when you don't correct them. And then if you're a Gen Z, I'm going to recommend you're trying to grow in your career. First things first, you have to have a career, plan your career. What are you trying to do? Don't be an anywhere benefits person. That's why I call people that do what's trending. The fact that they say tech is paying doesn't mean tech is for you. Data analysis, have you checked the statistics of data people who have jobs? Right? So you need to be intentional about the career you choose to do. Invest in yourself, learn, do trainings. And now when you have the necessary knowledge, don't just sit at home and think the job will fall on your laps. How about you look for an internship? Look for an opportunity to volunteer. Some of you have people who support you financially, right? And you can actually afford to work for free so that you get hands-on knowledge. Do that if you have to. And then when you get into the workplace, find out the culture. Find out the way that organization does their things. Don't just come in and want to do things the way you want to do it. And if you find out the culture of a company, if it doesn't work for you, I promise you, there's a different company out there that is going to accommodate you. But you also have to step out of your comfort zone, right? And I'll just say, let me crown this up by saying, pay the price. A lot of young people don't want to spend time to pay the price to grow in one thing. You think you just land on the mountain. A lot of people you see that you admire, they didn't land on the mountain, they climbed it. So find out that thing you're interested in and climb. So that's my own recommendation.
Thank you very much for this session. I like the way you ended it. They didn't land on the mountain, they climbed it. So don't look for shortcuts to get to where you want to get to. Do the work.
Yes.
Put in the work.
Yes.
Put in the hours, put in the work, and definitely you would get to that destination. Right. Thank you very much once again. Thank you for this session. Thank you for your insights and for exposing us to a lot of things that we're not aware of. I'm sure a lot of you would have learned something new today as well. So thank you.